Here is your Radio Theater Channel weekly podcast for download. The RTC still has the very best old-time radio on the live streaming. And if it's music you love, tune in to the RTC Music Channel, where this link and many others are on our website at oldtimeradiolisten.com. Now, here's Jim.
Thank you, Tim, and welcome everybody to the RTC Weekly Download. I'm your host, Jim Dolan. We'll start off this podcast with the audition show for Crime Classics. This show tells a real story as written in newspapers of the day. Now, the story of the crime of Bathsheba Spooner from December 3rd, 1952.
Good evening. This is Crime Classics. I am Thomas Hyland. Listen. The man in nondescript uniform dropping stones into that well is a mercenary soldier. More recently, a deserter. He's testing the depth of the well, the only way he knows, since a length of rope is not immediately available, and more complicated machines are as yet undiscovered. This is the year 1778, and the deserter is named James Buchanan. Next to him is his friend, another deserter whose name is William Brooks. These men are in the employ of Mrs. Bathsheba Spooner of Brookfield, Massachusetts, whose well it is. Mrs. Spooner will pay these men immediately they deposit the body of her murdered husband. Right down there. And tonight, my report to you on the crime of Bathsheba Spooner, the first woman to be tried for murder in the United States.
Crime Classics, a new series of true crime stories taken from the records and newspapers of every land, from every time. Your host each week, Mr. Thomas Hyland, connoisseur of crime, student of violence, and teller of murders. Now, once again, Thomas Hyland.
The place is Brookfield, Massachusetts, the year 1778. Scene, the home of Joshua and Bathsheba Spooner, a large and respectable dwelling, 2 stories in height, situated on the north side of the road from Brookfield to Worcester. In the front of it, and nearly opposite on the south side of the road, are stately elms and a well. And in the living room, there's this.
What manner of woman are you, Bathsheba? There's no content in you and no happiness.
And what happiness have you given me? A life that dies quickly, cooking and sewing, and from you, drunken sleep.
And you've not answered me. You would like to see me dead, would you not?
Listen to me, Joshua. When you returned this morning from Worcester, my heart sank in me. I'd hoped you wouldn't come back.
That I would have an accident. That in some way I would be killed.
Yes.
That you would be free then.
Yes.
To walk the town, newly widowed with a wandering eye.
Yes.
And you listen, shrew. I am your husband, and I'm your lover, and that's the way things are.
Old man! Old man! Ezra? Ezra?
I've been waiting. Bathsheba.
Wait.
No more waiting, Bathsheba. The time I was away from you with your husband in Worcester. The thinking about you.
And there'll be more waiting. Until it's done. Until you kill him.
I tried, but I could not.
He asked me a question, my husband did. What manner of woman are you, he asked. Now I wonder. What manner of woman am I to love such as you, a youth? A boy who pretends to manhood. You without the courage to...
The poison you gave me, there was no opportunity, Bathsheba.
And a boy who lies. Opportunity. When it becomes nighttime, my husband becomes a drunkard. You know that. To empty the poison in the cup when you were with him, a simple thing like that you couldn't do.
I swear it to you, Bathsheba. He'll die.
When? Go to him now. To the tavern where he is. Empty the poison.
I threw the poison away.
With no courage.
Bathsheba.
Speak my name and bedevil yourself with it.
Just kiss me, Bathsheba.
No kisses. No secret whisperings. None of that. No more. Until my husband is dead. Laugh then, you'll see I mean it.
There's a wench, Bathsheba, at the other end of town, and she watches me when I walk by.
Then go to her.
All right.
Wait. Don't leave me.
You almost let me go.
Boy, you...
Bathsheba.
Kill him. Kill my husband.
Later.
And that was Bathsheba Spooner. You've come to know her pretty well. You've seen her hating, you've seen her loving. There's more you should know. She was the sixth child of an illustrious man, General Ruggles. The general was a man of great wealth and lived in a style of unusual luxury for that day. He kept 30 horses and had a park of 20 acres for deer and a pack of hounds for the amusement of numerous visitors. He was a man intensely loyal to the British Crown and never hid his loyalties. And so, at the outbreak of the Revolutionary War, he was forced to give up his estate and to leave the country. His married life was also pretty bad, and he and his wife did not set a good example to his children in their conjugal relations. Bathsheba sprang from that kind of a household. Her loyalist background in time of war, and the very fact of the name she had, Bathsheba, were sufficient cause for the town in which she lived to view her with alarm. But keep this in mind. Bathsheba Spooner is going to murder her husband. How? Well, let's see how time and motive and circumstance conspire to get a man violently dead. The man, Joshua Spooner. Let's pick him up and see what he's doing. It's the same evening, and since it's after dark, he's drinking. And in Brookfield, there's only one public house in which to drink, Cooley's Tavern. And that's where he is.
No, Doctor. Then what would you do? To trap General Burgoyne? Very simple. Hand me your tankard, Dr. King. Now, and here, this spoon, the line of march of Burgoyne. And your tankard and mine, 2 sections of the troops of General Washington. Now watch. And that's how we take care of General Burgoyne. Yeah. Barkeep, more ale.
Joshua Spooner talks of strategies and drinks his ale. But mark this. Near the bar, another table. 2 men in nondescript uniforms, deserters from the army of General Burgoyne. Their names, James Buchanan and William Brooks. They've made known the fact that they've deserted the enemy, so their drinks are on the house and the appreciative customers. They're having a fine time.
Drink your ale, Will. Make me a toast and I'll drink with you. And a toast you shall get. Burgoyne is a scurvy... Louder, Will, louder, else we'll pay for our own ale. Aye. A toast! Aye, I'll give you a toast to that scurvy, plump-bellied Burgoyne. May he rot in the wilderness. That is, if he don't drown coming across the St. Lawrence.
Gentlemen.
And a merry evening to you.
Joshua Spooner is my name, and it would do me proud if you would permit me...
Ale is what we're drinking, sir.
Ale for the patriot!
And patriots we are, indeed, to goodness. Oh, yes. We joined General Washington, sir, and his colonials. You should know that. And from here, we go to Worcester, where a column of Washington's hearties... ale. To you, sir, and thanks to you.
My pleasure.
Willie Bach, your tankard is dry, and so is mine.
If you will permit me, gentlemen, it would be my pleasure. My pleasure indeed.
It would be Mr. Spooner's pleasure indeed to buy the lads more ale, as was the custom. True, it was 1778, but the etiquette was the same. Nothing too good for our boys. And the deserters in Cooley's bar were off to join our boys. As a matter of fact, it was Mr. Spooner's pleasure to direct James Buchanan and William Brooks to Worcester to become soldiers in Washington's army. It just happened that one of the landmarks that Mr. Spooner gave the lads went something like this.
Now, mark you. A pile of elms and a well. And across the road from it, my house. When you pass there, you will be leaving Brookfield. And you will know you're on your way. We'll have another ale before you leave.
You're a gentleman if I ever met one.
Oh, a true one, James, my lad. A real gent.
So they touched tankards, the deserters and Joshua Spooner, and they made tearful farewell. And the deserters left and walked the road toward where the elms were, and a house, and a well. Let's go on ahead of them. Let's get back to the lady. Bathsheba's home. Bathsheba's fixing her hair. And the youth Ezra, he's tying into it night ribbons, a lover's tender gesture. Their talk, however, is shocking.
Perhaps you're right. Perhaps the best way is not to poison him.
I say shoot him.
Perhaps, in such a way as to make it appear as an accident. Will you shoot him, Ezra? Tightly with the ribbon, dear. Ezra?
I have not the courage for it.
But you know of guns and shooting. You were in the army for a year.
I marched. I shot no one. I marched upon an ambush and was wounded. Myself, I never pulled a trigger.
If not you to kill him, Ezra, then someone.
Yes. Turn from your mirror, Bathsheba, and look at me.
Oh, listen. You hear?
Yes. Drunkards.
Someone. Go to the window.
Drunkards. 2 of them by the moon. British deserters. I've seen them in town.
Call to them.
Bathsheba.
Call to them.
Hello! You there!
What do you want?
I'll talk to them.
A lady wants to talk to you.
A lady? At the ladies' service any time.
Let them in, Ezra.
The Bathsheba Spooner who greeted the deserters must have been quite a sight. Tall, long hair, and blue ribbons. There must have been a fire in the fireplace, and in all probability she was standing in front of it. Her manner was gracious, and she was smiling. Ezra served the liquor. All in all, it was the nicest thing that could possibly have happened to 2 fellows who had deserted General Burgoyne.
And now, gentlemen, a question.
We bow. Bow, James, my lad. Say on, my lady.
How would you gentlemen like 500 pounds to see you on your long journey?
Merchanult would warm the cockles, wouldn't it, Will?
'Twould. Does that answer you, my lady?
And what would you do for it?
There is nothing that Will and I have not done, and for less handsome payment from less handsome women.
Far less.
Kill my husband.
This lad, the one you call Ezra.
Come here, lad. The next skinny ones don't take long for twisting.
Not him. Not Ezra.
Not him, Jack.
Then who?
My husband will return from his drinking. Will you wait for him? Kill him? When he returns, meet him outside at the door and greet him. Will you?
Not only for the money, dear lady, but with the pleasure of your presence to 2 tired soldiers. Right, James?
It's the truth.
You be the master of this house.
Huh? Yeah. And you are the 2...
That we be.
This one was a struggler, eh, Will?
Get the woman. The one she calls Ezra.
Aye. Mrs. Spooner, come see, it is done. And a tidy job, if I say so myself, Mrs. Spooner.
And now he's dead.
What will you do with him?
There's a well across the road.
Aye. Give us a hand, James. And you, Ezra.
There.
I'll walk with you.
It's a deep well.
Poor little man.
And that's how Joshua Spooner died. And that's how Bathsheba Spooner killed him.
You are listening to Crime Classics and your host, Thomas Hyland. And now, once again, Thomas Hyland and the second act of Crime Classics and his report to you on the crime of Bathsheba Spooner.
Listen to this. It's awful and dread, this tale that I tell. Joshua Spooner lies dead in a well in Brookfield town in 78 from 6 stout whacks across the pate. Small poem by an anonymous contributor to the Worcester Spy, the local newspaper of the day. A change of scene now. Across the road from a cold well into a warm living room. Tableau, 4 people.
Mr. Spooner was such an elegant man. What will become of his clothes in his closet and his horse?
You may have them.
Come away from the window, Bathsheba. Here, to me, close.
The stars are dancing.
You're shivering. Are you cold?
No.
Will is very weary, Widow Spooner. We'll not go on to Worcester tonight.
Then wait till morning. You can make a place for yourselves in the barn.
But the money we'll have now, and the clothes and the horse.
Yes, all of it. Ezra.
Yes?
In the morning, you will go to Cooley's Tavern. Inquire of Joshua. Tell them he's not been home. Tell them I'm frantic for his welfare.
Yes.
Good night, gentlemen. A very good night.
Mr. Cooley.
Aye? Hot grog on a nippy morning, Mr. Ross.
I've been sent to inquire of Joshua Spooner.
Who sent you?
The wife of him, Bathsheba.
Did she now? And why?
Last night he did not return home, and Mrs. Spooner is frantic for his welfare.
Not home? Well, he's not here. Last night he sat right there, my lad, and discussed military strategies with the doctor. Then, to the best of my knowledge, he went home.
Dr. King. Doctor, wake up. Please, Doctor, wake up. It's important.
What is it? What?
Where is Joshua Spooner?
Where is he?
Mr. Cooley says he sat with you last night.
As he did, and left me.
He's not home.
What?
Mrs. Spooner sent me to fetch him. She's troubled that he's not returned.
But where else could he have gone if not to his wife?
We must find him, Doctor.
Yes, by all means.
Ezra did that very well, with the precise shading of alarm in his voice, the concern. A man on an errand for a troubled lady. Everybody was impressed. Mr. Cooley closed his bar. Dr. King appealed to the neighborliness of the other customers, and everybody went looking for Joshua Spooner. Immediately, they called on Mrs. Spooner, whom they found in the greatest apparent distress. Upon an examination of the premises, in the neighborhood of the doorstep, they observed the tracks of several persons on the snow. And on further search, they found Mr. Spooner. You know where. In the well. So far, only horror and suspicions. But now, let's pick up Willie and James. They haven't left Brookfield. Stupid of them, isn't it? But then you've got to examine it from their point of view. Why become soldiers in Washington's army, especially in the winter, and suffer the privations of the military, when they could be warm and rich as a civilian? So, imagine it. 2 tatterdemalion deserters, suddenly elegant, in Mr. Spooner's clothes, which were somewhat tight-fitting. But elegance and tight-fitting are somehow akin. Now, there lived in Brookfield a certain wench whose name is lost in history. This much is known about her. She had an eye for tight elegance. This much is known about her, too, that she went riding with Willie and James on their newly acquired horse.
I'll help you down.
No, James. No.
Give us a bus, dearie. That's a dearie.
Well,
Aye.
how is it we are riding Mr. Spooner's horse?
Why, dearie, we don't know a Mr. Spooner.
Aren't these Mr. Spooner's silver buckles?
No.
Aren't you wearing his clothes?
These are our clothes, dearie. Come, let's ride some more. It brings the pink to your pretty cheeks.
But the cat was out of the bag. The girl told her mother, and her mother her father. And it so happened that her father was at that moment on his way to look for the murderers of Joshua Spooner. So the father told some neighbors, and they located James and Willie. Brought them all together. The 2 deserters, Ezra and Bathsheba. And this is what happened.
The jurors for the government and people of Massachusetts Bay in New England, upon their oath present that William Brooks and James Buchanan and Ezra Ross in the county of Essex, not having God before their eyes, an assault did make upon Joshua Spooner, feloniously, willfully, and of their malice aforethought, on the 1st day of March last past, with force and arms also by striking, beating, and kicking aforesaid Joshua Spooner, so as to inflict several mortal bruises, of which Joshua Spooner died. And that Bathsheba Spooner, widow and late wife of Joshua Spooner, being seduced by the instigation of the devil, did incite, move, abet, counsel, and procure the murder of aforesaid Joshua Spooner. How do you plead?
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
What statement have you, Bathsheba Spooner?
I am the wife of the deceased. If what you accuse me of be true, what end could the death of my husband serve? Were there any reasons, persuading, hopes, inviting, or advantages arising from the death of my husband? By depriving myself of husband, I would subject myself to the burdens of a widow. If I hated my husband, as such has been said, could I not have separated from him, gone to my father or to my brothers? What foolishness is this to say I've loved Ezra Ross, when one of my station might have any gallant I please? Gentlemen, if I be guilty, I was not of sound mind.
To the sheriff of our county of Essex, greetings. We command you that on Thursday, the 4th day of June next, between the hours of 12 and 4 of the clock in the afternoon, you cause William Brooks, James Buchanan, Ezra Ross, and Bathsheba Spooner to be conveyed from our jail, where they are now in your custody, to the usual place of execution, and there to be hanged by the neck until their bodies be dead.
The motive, the crime, and the sentence. Justice was simple. And quickly, too quickly for the 4 prisoners, the 4th day of June. This is a copy of the Worcester Spy dated that day that I have here. I'd like to read from it. It was about 2:30 of the clock in the afternoon when the 4 criminals were brought out of prison and conducted to the place of execution under a guard of 100 men. The 3 men went on foot. Mrs. Spooner was carried in a chaise, being then, as she had been for several days, exceedingly feeble. The procession was regular and solemn. Just before they reached the place of execution, one of the most terrific thunderstorms that had occurred within the memory of the oldest inhabitant darkened the heavens. There followed an awful time. The loud shouts of the officers amidst a crowd of 5,000 people. The horses pressing upon those in front. The shrieks of the women in the tumult and confusion. The malefactors slowly advancing to the fatal tree, preceded by the dismal coffins. The fierce coruscations of the lightning athwart the darkened horizon, quickly followed by loud peals of thunder, conspired together and produced a dreadful scene of horror. It seemed as if the author of nature had added such terrors to the punishment of the criminals as might soften the stoutest heart of the most obdurate and abandoned. At length, the place of execution having been reached, Ross, Buchanan, and Brooks ascended the ladder to the stage.
Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Ross made an audible prayer. The other 2 were engaged in silent devotions until they faced the noose. Mrs. Spooner, as she approached the tree, was seen to bow gracefully to many of the spectators with whom she had been acquainted. Then she crept up the ladder on her hands and knees. When the eyes of the malefactors were covered and all was ready, Mrs. Spooner took the sheriff by the hand. And for the first time, Bathsheba Spooner accepted the verdict of justice.
My dear sir, I am ready. In a little time, I expect to be in bliss. And but a few years must elapse when I hope I shall see you and my other friends again.
And that's the way the newspaper recorded it. This has been my report of the crime of Bathsheba Spooner, the first woman tried and executed for murder in the United States.
In just a moment, Thomas Hyland will tell you about next week's Crime Classic. And here again is Thomas Hyland.
Next week, we'll be with you at the same time, although geography and year will change. The place? Pimlico, England. The year, 1879. My report? On the shockingly peaceful passing of Thomas Edwin Bartlett, greengrocer. Thank you. Good night.
Bathsheba Spooner, tonight's Crime Classic, was adapted from the original court reports and newspaper accounts by Morton Fine and David Friedkin. The music was composed and conducted by Bernard Herrmann, and the program was produced and directed by Elliott Lewis. Thomas Hyland is portrayed on radio by Lou Merrill. Bathsheba Spooner was played by Mary Jane Croft. The cast included Herb Butterfield, Sam Edwards, William Johnstone, Georgia Ellis, Tudor Owen, and Ben Wright. Bob Lamont speaking. And remember, for mystery mixed with merriment, join Mr. and Mrs. North Tuesday evenings on the CBS Radio Network.
And now it's off to space with Bob and Ray.
And now chocolate cookies with white stuff in between them bring you Lawrence Fechtenberger, Interstellar Officer Candidate.
Lawrence Fechtenberger, Interstellar Officer Candidate, and his surly sidekick, Mug Mellish, have been summoned to the Commandant's office at the Interstellar Space Academy to receive orders on a new flight to another planet.
All right, Mug, we might just as well go in and speak to the Commandant now and see what he wants.
Well, you go ahead in, Fechtenberger. I'll wait outside here. I want a cigarette. Oh, Fechtenberger, you're here. Where's Mellish?
He's waiting outside, sir.
Not smoking, I hope.
He's outside, sir.
Come now, Fechtenberger. Is he smoking a cigarette or not? We don't allow it in the corridors here at the Interstellar Space Academy, you know.
I know, Commandant. We don't.
Well, if you know, Fechtenberger, speak up.
The honor code, sir. Is that it?
That's exactly it, Fechtenberger. And I can tell by that look on your face that you're not giving me the entire story.
Do I have to...
Well, no matter. Now, what I called you here for, Fechtenberger...
He is smoking, sir.
All right. What I called you here for is... You told on him, Fechtenberger. You broke the honor code. Well, no matter. Fechtenberger, what I want you and Mellish to do is warm up the new experimental spaceship and head for a trial run to the moon.
Sir, could I make a request of you? Could you send somebody other than Mellish, because he sneers so much?
Why, Fechtenberger, I've never heard you speak harshly about a fellow officer candidate before.
Well, you know Mellish, and you know the trouble he is having with his studies.
Yes, his marks have been quite low this semester, but I was hoping with your help, a little bit of private tutoring, that he'd bring them up.
It's a little shocking to me that he wasn't washed out, sir.
Wait, just a minute, Fechtenberger. Do you hear an echo in here?
Yes, I do, sir.
Why is it that all interstellar space academies have to have an echo in them?
Well, it's because the rooms are so large, sir. And, see, you have no chairs here, no rugs on the floor. It's quite barren in here.
Very scientific.
Yes, it is, sir.
I hadn't noticed before. Well, take off right away, Fechtenberger, and radio from the moon when you get there.
And I have to take Mellish with me then, sir?
That's right, Fechtenberger.
Okay.
And put out that butt.
Sir, would you push the button so I can get out?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Wait.
Well, Fechtenberger.
Put out that cigarette, Mellish. They may find out that you were smoking.
Oh, I sneer at them. They'll never catch me smoking.
Mellish, you and I have to warm up the new plane. Take it off to the moon.
To the moon, huh?
Well,
that shouldn't take long.
Commandant just said.
All right, come on.
First, we're to stop by Quartermaster and draw sandwiches and heavy clothing.
All right, I'll meet you at the spaceship.
All right. Hurry, Mellish.
I'm coming, Fechtenberger. I just want to be sure I had my parachute.
All right. You won't need any parachute, I hope. All right, let's climb aboard.
Always pays to play safe. You want me to deactivate the starboard stabilizers first?
Yeah, let's do that.
Starboard stabilizers deactivated.
Check the altimeter, please. Fuel gauge.
Wait a minute, I'm still checking the altimeter.
Well, it shouldn't say anything. We haven't gone anyplace
yet. Oh, good. It said zero. That's what I was worried about.
All right.
Now, everything checks out, Fechtenberger.
All right, now shut the door. Ignition on.
Ignition
on. Wait a minute. Is it in neutral?
Yeah.
All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Boy, this new baby feels like it's got a lot of speed.
Really does. I didn't feel any sensation at all as we left.
Hey, Fechtenberger.
What, Mellish?
Look, we're still on the ground.
Are you sneering?
So, Lawrence Fechtenberger, interstellar officer candidate, and Mug Mellish run into trouble with the experimental spaceship. Be sure and join us next time when we'll hear Lawrence Fechtenberger say,
Everything seems to check out, sir.
Lawrence Fechtenberger is portrayed by Harvey Scarf.
Now it's Amos and Andy. Kingfish needs money, and of course that means fun.
Say, Andy, did you hear that whistle?
Sure did, Amos. That whistle means rinse so white, rinse so bright, rinse so new.
That's right. It means that this is Sunday, and we is on the air for Rinso with Solium.
Amos and Andy Show with Lou Lubin, Ernestine Wade, Lillian Randolph, Roy Glenn, Woodard Waterman, Jeff Alexander and his orchestra, and radio's all-time favorites, Amos and Andy. Yes, sir, the Amos and Andy Show, brought to you by Lever Brothers Company, makers of Rinso, the only soap that contains Solium. That's why Rinso gets your clothes whiter and brighter than new.
Rinso white, Rinso bright,
Rinso new.
Happy little wash day song.
Well, last week, Andy finally got his uncle's inheritance and is living off the fat of the land. The Kingfish, however, lost out on his share, and he's been down in the dumps because he and Sapphire were counting on using the money for a summer vacation.
Listen, George, money or no money, I done arranged for us to take a vacation in the country this summer.
What you mean you done arranged? Now explain that to me.
I done called the employment agency and got us jobs at the Pinecrest Lodge in the Adirondacks.
Job? Yeah, now what you do a dirty trick like that for? Now wait a minute,
I'm gonna be a chambermaid and you is gonna be a waiter.
Now wait a minute, what? Me or Stevens working as a waiter? Think of my reputation and the stigma it's gonna put on my family. What would my dear old daddy have said if he'd have known his darling boy wound up as a hash slinger?
George, what are you talking about? Your pa was no better than you is.
Well, now you wait a minute, Chair. So happened that my father was a man who was looked up to and admired. Don't forget he spent 4 years in medical school.
I'll say he did. He was the best exhibit they ever had.
Well, at least it was all for science. He didn't join no freak show like some of your relatives.
George, none of my family was freaks.
Yeah, well, how about your cousin Opalescent? Last Christmas we had to send her 4 earrings. Don't tell me what.
Now listen here, George. I'll just
somebody at the door there.
I'll get it.
Yeah, get there.
Telegram for Mrs. Stevens.
Oh, thank you.
He left in a hurry. Didn't expect no tip, huh?
No, he's delivered telegrams here before. Let me see who this is from.
Yeah, look at the thing there. Ain't no star on it. Can't be from your old lady that didn't come collect. I don't know who it is.
Good heavens, George. It's from my papa's sister, Aunt Minerva, the one that owns the big business in Chicago. Say that she arrives in town tomorrow and she expects us to entertain her.
Entertain her? I got the sum total of 35 cents. That ain't enough to get my mandolin out of hock. I can't entertain her.
George, we just gotta get some money and entertain Aunt Minerva. You see, for years I've been writing her that you is one of the wealthiest stockbrokers here in New York.
Yeah, well, why in the world did you do a thing like that? Always bragging.
Well, George, listen, she's always been looking for one of her relatives to take over that business she's got. She's been visiting relatives for years trying to find the right man, but every one of them turns out to be bums. That's why I told her you is successful.
Yeah, a story like that would keep me in line for the job. Yeah, but what I gonna do now? She coming here. What I gonna do?
Well, George, we just got to find some way to make an impression on her. Yeah. Why, this is the biggest opportunity we ever had.
Well, now, wait a minute, here, honey. Look here. I've been using my head, here. My cronium's been working overtime. Let me think here. Look here. I can't get no money out of Andy, but he's still living up in that big suite at the Lenox Avenue Hacienda Hotel. Why couldn't we borrow that suite from him? Let her think that it's our place and give a big dinner for up there.
Oh, George, do you think that'll work?
Certainly. We'll use Andy's suite, eat the hotel food, and borrow evening clothes from the Henry Van Porter. And Aunt Minerva will never know that the only thing that belongs to us is our underwear. Come on, And I can't thank you enough, boy, for loaning me this suite you got here. This place is really going to make an impression on my Aunt Minerva. See that?
Yeah, well, you're welcome, Kingfish. You say Sapphire bringing your Aunt Minerva up here, huh? By the way, what does she look like?
Well, Andy, is you familiar with the beautiful painting of Mona Lisa?
Yeah, I done seen the thing.
Well, just imagine that somebody sat on that painting while it was wet and you got Aunt Minerva.
Yeah. Well, if she's from Sapphire's side of the family, before we sit down to eat, I think I better take a couple of Mother Sill's seasick pills, you know?
Not a bad idea, Andy. A face like Aunt Minerva's would even slow down Admiral Halsey, you know, so you take the seasick pills.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you.
Wait a minute, now that must be Sapphire and Aunt Minerva. Now remember, Andy, we got to play this thing big now, and whatever you do, don't say nothing about me and Sapphire taking jobs as a waiter and chambermaid up at the Pinecrest Lodge. Now, don't mention that.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
Yeah, here we go. Come in.
George, look who's here. Aunt Minerva.
Well, Aunt Minerva. Welcome to my genuine $20 a day suite. How is you?
Oh, George, I am so happy to see you. And this is such a charming suite. Charming. Simply charming.
Excuse me, Kingfish. I think I'll take 2 more of them seasick pills.
Oh, no. Now, Andy, come here. Look here. I'd like to have you meet my Aunt Minerva Jackson. Aunt Minerva, this is Andy Brown, the well-known and well-to-do playboy and member of the 400 and all that stuff.
Oh, Mr. Brown, I don't believe I have ever met a person before that looks so masculine and so rugged as you do.
Likewise.
Say hello to Sapphire.
Oh, yeah. Hi, Sapphire.
Oh, Mr. Brown, glad to see you again.
Well, I must say, George, that I am certainly impressed by this suite and all this luxury around here. You must be terribly successful.
Well, when it comes to the filthy rich, I guess I is as dirty as any of them.
Oh, yeah. You know, he is such a successful businessman to even think about investigating him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Well, I had one of the biggest years I've ever had myself. But I'm afraid that I have to get some capable man to help me out with my big Chicago business. And if I don't, I may have to sell out.
Yeah, well, of course, I was on the board of directors of 4 or 5 big companies, you know. Who knows, maybe someday I'll get sprung loose from one of them, you know. I might work with you.
Yes, George has been so busy. He done wonderful in the stock market last year. He dabbles in the market, you know.
Yes, I done dabbled some pretty big dibbles last year. Yeah, when it comes to the stocks, I concentrate on the metals. My steel's done pretty good, and my leads and zincs was way up. But I did have a little trouble with the coppers. Ain't that right, Mr. Brown?
Yeah, they had you down at the station house 3 or 4 times.
Down at the station house?
You'll have to excuse Mr. Brown, Aunt Minerva. He ain't been the same since the door of the bank vault slammed on his head. You see?
You know, Aunt Minerva, it's too bad we can't spend more time together. But we're leaving tomorrow for the Pinecrest Lodge up in the Adirondacks.
Leaving? But I just got here.
Yeah, well, I always has to get away for 2 or 3 months in the summer, you know. You see, the big businessmen like me gets what they call the Wall Street stomach. The only thing that helps us is to get out in the country and get a little fresh air and sunshine on your gallbladder. That's what I got to do.
Well, I'm sure sorry because I came all the way up from Chicago to see you.
Well, it's a disappointment to us, too, Aunt Minerva.
Mr. Brown, before you order dinner, I wonder if I could use the phone.
Oh, sure. It's right through there in the bedroom.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, right through there, Aunt Minerva. You'll find.
Hello? Is this the desk? I wonder if you could recommend a travel agent. Yes. I want to give my niece and her husband the surprise of their lives. I want to make a reservation for myself starting Monday at the Pinecrest Lodge in the Adirondacks.
wash day song. For a wash that's whiter and brighter than new. Rinso washes, Rinso new. Rinso white,
Whiter than new,
Rinso bright.
brighter than new.
Rinso white, Rinso bright.
Rinso new.
Rinso New. It's true. Rinso, the only soap that contains solium, gets white clothes whiter and washable colors brighter than new. Yes, Rinso gets clothes Rinso new because Rinso puts sunshine in your wash, even if you dry it indoors. It's a fact that no other soap can make your wash so white or so bright, because no other soap contains the scientific sunlight ingredient, solium. Use Rinso for your heaviest wash. You'll see for yourself that Rinso gets out more dirt than any other type of wash day product. And yet Rinso is so safe for your clothes and so kind to your hands. On wash day, use Rinso. See your wash become whiter, brighter than new.
Rinso white, Rinso bright.
Rinso new.
Happy little wash day song.
Well, it ain't gonna be too bad, me being a waiter up here at the Pinecrest Lodge for the summer. So far, there's only about 10 guests, and...
George? Oh, George, a terrible thing done happened. I was making up one of the rooms, and what do you reckon I seen in the hall? Aunt Minerva.
Aunt Minerva?
Yes.
Holy smokes, she up here at Pinecrest?
Yes.
Wait a Sapphire. Did she see you in the chambermaid's uniform?
No, George, I ducked quick. But I found out from the desk she's registered in room 312.
312?
Mm-hmm.
Holy mackerel. You know, I picked up some breakfast dishes in there this morning, and I noticed there was an upper plate on the dresser. You know, I had a funny feeling at that time that I had seen them choppers grinning at me somewhere before.
George, what are we going to do? You know, if she finds out we're working up here, we'll be disgraced, and any chance of you taking over a big job at her company is gone forever.
Well, now, wait a minute, Sapphire. Wait a minute. Just stop shaking there. Now, look here now. We just gotta, we gotta duck her until we can figure out some angle to get out of this hotel. Look here. I'm gonna call Andy in New York City right away.
Well, you better do something. This is terrible.
Yeah, now, why would such a horrible thing have to happen to such a good, honest, clean living couple like us? I never
Listen, George, I got one of the other chambermaids making up Aunt Minerva's room. Is you got a hold of Andy yet?
No, he ain't in this hotel, and I got to call in for Shorty the barber to see if he can locate him.
Well, George, you better act fast. That's all I got to say. I'll see you later.
Oh, what in the world will I... Oh, that must be Shorty now. Hello?
Hello, Shorty the barber's resident. Shorty Lewis's habitat. This is the home of Shorty the... nobody's here.
Shorty, where has you been? The operator has been trying to locate you all day.
Yeah, I was at the burlesque show. I go there every day. I sit through the whole 7 shows.
Yeah, well, why do you do that?
That's my only chance I get to see my mother.
No, never mind that, Shorty. Look here, get a hold of Andy and tell him to come up here to the Pinecrest Lodge as soon as he can. He know my address and how to get you. Tell him it's a matter of life and death.
Holy smokes, what's the matter?
Well, Sapphire's Aunt Minerva's up here at the hotel. And we just can't let her find out that we is working up here.
I see.
Now, remember, Shorty, this is very important. So I want you to run out of the house right this minute and find Andy.
I can't run out right now, Ken.
Well, why not?
Well, I got a lot of things to do. I'm waiting for the important call. I'm going to get... I'm very busy. You see, I'm no clothes on. Oh.
Oh, Andy. Oh, boy, I'm sure glad you got here, boy.
Yeah, well, I took the first train out of New York. You say your Aunt Minerva's up here, huh?
Yeah, and that's why I had you come up here. Now, you was going to help me get rid of her.
Well, how's I going to do that?
Well, now, look here. Me and you is going to convince the manager of the hotel that she is an undesirable guest and will give the hotel a bad name. Now, that's what we're going to do.
Well, how you going to do that now? She don't look like that type.
Andy, look here. There's only one chance. I'm going to tell the manager that she's a notorious card shark who makes a practice of gypping hotel guests all over the world. and tell him that she is the Jack the Ripper of Canasta. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, well, what's the plan of attack, Kingfish?
Well, now, look, Andy, when we gets back to the hotel, I'm going to go right up into the manager's office after you register. Then after I get in there a couple of minutes, I want you to bust in, and then we'll...
What's this, Stevens? We have a card shark in the house?
Oh, yeah, sir, Miss Williams. That sweet old lady in room 312 who goes under the name of Minerva Jackson is none other than the infamous card shark, Fair Shuffle Fanny, alias Bottom of the Deck Bessie. That's who she is.
I can't believe a thing like this of that sweet old woman.
Sweet old woman? Why, she is one of the most notorious gamblers and horse players in the United States today. Why, at the last hotel where she worked, why, she wore a phony hearing aid. Turned out to be a direct wire to all tracks.
What?
Oh, yeah. When she sits out on the front porch knitting, she may look like Whistler's mother, but actual, she's getting the morning line from Jamaica. That's what she's doing.
Well, I never heard anything like this in my life.
No.
It's just too fantastic to be true.
Oh, no, it's all true. Yeah, I guarantee that she gonna get someone in this here hotel if you don't get out here.
I want to see the manager.
It's happened sooner than I thought.
Well, I'm the manager. Is something wrong?
I'll say there is. I just checked in at your hotel, and while I was sitting in the lobby, a sweet-looking old lady sat down next to me, asked me when the morning services begun. Next thing I knowed, she whipped out a deck of cards, and we was in the middle of a fast game of Spit in the Ocean.
Miss Williams, that sounded to me like the woman I was just telling you about, Bottom of the Deck Bessie. That's who she is.
Well, Mr. Brown, there's nothing wrong with playing cards. Did this woman try to cheat you?
Cheat me? Why, that old lady must have had an extra deck hid in her handkerchief.
In her handkerchief?
Yeah, I knowed there was something wrong when she blowed her nose and filled the inside straight.
Miss Williams, the smart thing for you to do is to get this woman out of the hotel before she's doing any more damage.
I agrees with you completely, Kingfish.
Kingfish? Mr. Brown, you seem to be pretty familiar with this waiter.
Oh, no. The man just made a slip of the lip there. I ain't never seen him before in my life, is I, Andy? I mean,
Now, look, Stevens, I don't know what this is all about, but this is obviously a trumped-up story.
No.
Now, if I hear any more about this, I'll go to Miss Jackson and tell her the whole story and fire you in the bargain.
Yeah.
And as for you, Mr. Brown, you're a welcome guest as long as you mind your own business.
All right, we is going, but remember this. When it comes time for Miss Jackson to pay a bill, and she suggests a fast game of double or nothing, don't blame me if you winds up sitting behind the desk there and your BVDs. Come on, Andy, let's get out.
Oh, thanks for bringing up the towel, Sapphire. Say, how come you ain't wearing your hotel uniform?
Well, I tell you, me and George got the night off, and we gonna sneak off to the movies. See, that's one way of keeping out of Aunt Minerva's way. But I don't know how long we gonna be able to do it. That's the thing.
Yeah, well, if I gets any angles, I'll let you know. Good night, Sapphire.
Well, I'll just sneak down the hall here, and I'll...
Sapphire Stevens!
Aunt Minerva!
Why, Sapphire, I'd given up hope of you coming up here, and I'm so glad I run into you. I bet you were surprised to see me.
Oh, yes. I'm just overwhelmed, and I know George will be, too.
Oh, yes. Let me pop in your room here and surprise him.
Oh, but Aunt Minerva, you can't go in there. You see, there ain't nobody in there. I mean, it's empty.
Say, Sapphire, to keep what we're doing on the QT, why don't you and me just, Hello, Aunt Minerva.
Why, Sapphire, you came out of Mr. Brown's room.
Excuse me.
Sapphire, I'm waiting for an explanation. What were you doing coming out of Mr. Brown's room?
Well, you see, Mr. Brown is, he's a doctor. That's right, he's a doctor.
A doctor?
Yes, He was giving me a prescription for George. And I have to rush right back with it. But I'll see you later, Aunt Minerva. Goodbye.
Goodbye? Well, that's nice. Mr. Brown is a doctor. I haven't been feeling a bit well. I know just what I'll do. I'll call up Dr. Brown and have him examine me.
This is Ken Carpenter. You know, ma'am, if you want the whitest, brightest wash you can get, and I'm sure you do, get Rinso. Rinso with Solium gets clothes so dazzling white and colors so sparkling bright, they're whiter and brighter than new. That's right, Rinso New. Actually whiter and brighter than brand new. It's because Rinso, only Rinso, contains the scientific sunlight ingredient, Solium. What's more, the magic of Rinso with Solium puts sunshine in your wash, even on rainy days, even if you dry it indoors. Use Rinso for your heaviest wash, and you'll see for yourself today's Rinso gets out much more dirt than any other type of wash day product there is. See all your clothes come Rinso New. Yes, even whiter, brighter than when they were brand new. Rinso is safe for clothes and so very kind to your hands. And only one soap, Rinso, can get your wash so white or colors so bright. It's because in all the world, only Rinso contains Solium. Get Rinso right away.
Yes, Andy, Sapphire really thought quick when she popped out of your room there, didn't she, boy?
Oh, she sure did. She told Aunt Minerva I was a doctor, huh?
Yeah, that's right. That's what she told her.
Yeah, well, you was off the hook for the time being anyway.
Yeah, wait a minute. I'll get it, Andy. Hello?
George, this is Aunt Minerva.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not feeling a bit well, and I'd like Dr. Brown to come over and examine me.
Drop the phone there. Excuse me, Aunt Minerva. You didn't say something about Dr. Brown, did you?
Yes, I want Dr. Brown to come right over and examine me.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, he won't be able to. You see, he's busy with appendix operation.
Well, he can come after that.
Yeah, well, it won't. It might be a long wait, you see. I think he's taking out his own appendix. That's what he's doing. Well, I talked to him, though. So long.
Listen, Kingfish, I'm getting out of here. I ain't getting messed up with this.
Well, now, wait a minute, Andy. Wait a minute here. I'm just thinking here. You being a doctor may be the way to get rid of Aunt Minerva.
Oh, no, you don't. I ain't gonna knock off no old lady.
No. No. We'll just go over there and examine her. Oh. And then we'll tell her that the reason that she ain't feeling well is she allergic to the place up here. That's what we tell her.
Yeah.
Or the climate or something, and everything else wrong with her.
Okay, we'll tell her she's allergic to the climate, and the only way she can stay healthy up here is to stop breathing.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, here's Aunt Minerva's room, Kingfish. Boy, is I nervous.
Well, now, calm down, Andy. You look just like a doctor with that white coat on you borrowed from the busboy. And you got that black satchel there. Look fine. Yeah, and I put a lot of stuff in there from the first aid room.
Yeah, well, here goes. I'll knock on the door.
Yeah, now, don't forget now. We're going to tell her that she's allergic to the place here.
Yeah.
Come in. Oh, it's you, George, and Dr. Brown.
Yes. I just thought I'd come up with the doctor to see if I could be of any help.
Yeah. In case I got to cut you open or anything, Mr. Stevens here can hold you down.
Well, I hope there's nothing serious.
Yeah, well, we all hope the same thing, of course. Always hope for the best, don't we?
Oh, sure. It'll be okay.
Yeah, well, you better start the examination, Dr. Brown.
Yeah, well, wait a minute now. I got to open my bag up here.
Yeah, I wouldn't bother with no stethoscope there. Huh? You ain't going to be able to hear nothing through that blubber nose.
I'm so nervous, Doctor.
Yeah, well, let me see now where to begin this examination so I can get a grip on this thing.
Yeah, well, Doctor, excuse me for protruding here, but why don't you start from the top, Doctor?
Yeah, that's a good idea. You got any dandruff trouble?
Oh, no.
I don't think that's what's wrong, Doctor.
No, Doctor, excuse me again, but may I suggest that you look inside of a mouth?
Oh, yeah. Open your mouth.
Ah.
That's enough. We ain't going in there. We're just going to look at
it. Just keep your mouth open there like get in the black bag here, man. Wait a minute now. Here's a flashlight, Doctor.
Oh, thank you. Now, let me stick it in the mouth here and look around.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Kingfish, look here. Something wrong in the back of her throat. Something hanging down there looks like a shrimp.
Something hanging down there look like a shrimp? Let me take a look here. Get your face out the way so I can get my eye up there to her mouth. Andy, that's a palate.
Yeah? Well, that's got to come out sooner or later. Whoopsie daisy.
What's the matter, Andy?
I done dropped my flashlight in there. Kingfish, you got long fingers. Roll up your sleeves and see if you can snag the thing out, will you?
Yeah, well, I better put some antiseptic on my arms before I go in there. Yeah. Ain't no use for her to catch what we got mixed up with what she got, you know.
Never mind, Kingfish. Hold it. I got it.
You got the flashlight, huh?
Oh, Doctor, I almost choked to death.
Yeah.
Did you find out what's wrong with me?
Yeah, I got it all figured out. My thorough examination done revealed that you got stigmatism of the throat.
Well, heavens, Doctor, what causes that?
Well, you was allergic to the place here, this Pinecrest Lodge.
Yeah.
Best thing for you to do is to get out of here and get to some healthy climate like Chicago.
Well, that's strange. That's where I come from. But if you say so, Doctor, I'll get packed up right away.
Excuse me, Miss Jackson, but, Stevens, what are you doing here? We serve dinner in half an hour, and you haven't got your table set yet.
Well, you see, Mr. Williams.
Table set? You mean Mr. Stevens is a waiter here?
Of course, and his wife is a chambermaid.
Well, now, look, Aunt Minerva, that is, you see,
I see through the whole thing. You and Sapphire have lied to me. You're no stock market operator telling me you well off. The idea.
Yeah, boy, Aunt Minerva.
You is turned out like every one of the other relatives I's visited. For the past 15 years, I's visited every one of them, and none of them's got a decent job, and they is all broke. I is through now. I just gonna have to go back to Chicago and run my own business.
And Stevens, as far as the hotel is concerned, you and your wife can consider yourselves fired.
Yes, Amos, that's what done happened. Sapphire's Aunt Minerva found out they was working up there at the hotel. They got fired, and her aunt went back to Chicago.
Yeah, well, and Sapphire's done gone over to her mother's house. She don't speak to her husband, the Kingfish, no more. It really is a mess, ain't it?
Sure is. Well, Aunt Minerva found out that he's a bum just like all the other relatives. There ain't no chance of him ever getting that big job with her company now.
Yeah, well, you can't blame Aunt Minerva for getting mad. She came to New York to visit the Kingfish and expected to find him a successful man. Yeah, it must have been a pretty big disappointment to her, like all the other relatives she'd been visiting, I guess.
Yeah, and with the Kingfish out of the thing, I guess Aunt Minerva's going to have to go on being the head of her own Chicago company.
Yeah, Helen, I got back from New York this morning, and I just had to call you. I'm back on the job. That niece of mine and her husband wasn't well-to-do at all. He turned out to be nothing but a waiter, and she's a chambermaid, and I expected so much from him.
Minerva, what are you doing in my office? Get on out there. You got 5 more cars to wash before noon.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Amos. We just want to tell you that this will be our last broadcast of the season until next fall. And before we leave the air, we want to thank you again, not only for ourselves, but for all of our writers, Joe Connolly, Bob Mosher, and Robert Ross. Also our producer, Glenn Middleton, the sound department, engineering department, our orchestra, and its great conductor, Jeff Alexander. Yes, we all thank you for your loyalty to our show.
Yes, and we very much appreciate your loyalty to Rinso, too.
Yes, we do. And because Rinso with Solium is really one of the finest products you can buy, we suggest that during the summer months, while we're on vacation, you go to your grocer and always ask for Rinso. You can get Rinso in the large economical size with the red Solium label.
And so, as Amos says, we'll be back in the fall.
In the meantime, starting next week, the makers of Rinso have a swell new show for you, one that we're sure that you're really going to enjoy. It's called
Hit the Jackpot. Hit the jackpot for $10,000 worth of prizes. Hit the jackpot with phone calls going out all over the country, maybe to you, inviting you to share the fun and try to hit the jackpot for a fortune in fabulous prizes.
Boy, all that dough and all you got to do is wait for a phone call.
No, there's more to it than that. Friends, be sure to be listening to this exciting show at this same time next week and find out how to hit the jackpot.
Yeah, me and Amos will be listening in, too. In the meantime, till next fall...
Good luck to everybody and goodbye from everybody here. So long, and don't forget to keep buying that wonderful Rinso with Solium. Thank you.
Stay tuned for the stations. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
That's it for this week. We'll be back next week with more old-time radio. I hope you can join us then. Till then, this is Jim Dolan thanking you for listening. The RTC Weekly Download is produced by Chris Stone and Jim Dolan.